According to the United States Department of Justice, about 1 in 3 high school students has been or will be involved in an abusive relationship. So how do you talk to your kids about this issue? Joining us this morning is therapist Sarah Johnson with a few tips. Good morning, Sarah. Thanks for getting up with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start by talking about how do you identify, what do you look for, what are the warning signs to know if your child is in an abusive relationship?
That's a great question. When we think about abuse, what I'd like people to think about is power and control. So one individual attempting to control another by any means they can. When we're talking about dating violence, that might be by physical means, which would be physical types of abuse like kicking, slapping, those kinds of things, which would show bruises, scratches. It might also be emotional abuse, which is, of course, harder to see. That might be name calling or put downs, those sorts of things. The types of signs you might see if that's going on in a relationship is changes in behavior in your child, such as increased isolation. They may be acting out or more secretive. They may have changes in their clothing or their friend groups, those sorts of things.
You know, when you think of abusive relationships, there's kind of a stereotype that the girl is always the victim. But do you see cases of abuse where maybe the boy in the relationship is the victim as well?
Absolutely. Abuse can happen in any type of relationship, whether it's a straight relationship, gay or lesbian relationship, it can happen.
Okay. 1 in 3. I mean, that's a huge number of kids affected by this.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things that parents can do. One of the first things I would say to prevent relationships like this, parents can model and teach their children negotiation skills, respect, anger management skills, those sorts of things. If they're seeing signs like this in their child's relationship, talking with them about it, letting them know they support them and love them, and really focusing on their child versus the perpetrator.
Okay, so that's the first step. What if you've talked their ear off and, you see it getting worse or they're just not getting the message? Who do you turn to?
That's a great question. If your child doesn't feel like they can talk with you, and sometimes kids might be concerned that their parents are embarrassed or angry at them or ashamed of their behavior or of their partner, I encourage you to connect your child with an adult that you do trust. So whether that be a school counselor, a pastor, coach, or a counselor, someone like me, their family physician, an adult that can help talk with them more objectively about what's going on to help get them some help.
Okay, so again, 1 in 3 kids will be in some time in an abusive relationship, so this is something that you definitely need to bring up at the dinner table. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us and for shedding some light on this topic. All right.